This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Friday, August 16th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. Indianapolis-based Venture Logistics is partnering with Utah-based Wave and Columbus-based Cummins to further test Wave's charging pad for electric semi-trucks. COO Justin Weber says the pad can fully charge the trucks in just 20 minutes and is ideal for shorter trucking routes.
Ideally, you would have an induction charger on origin and destination. I start at perhaps a warehouse and pick up my goods, and as I'm waiting for those goods, I roll over an induction charger for a 20-minute charge. I also then have the opportunity on my drop-off, my destination, to roll over and get a quick charge.
The new endeavor is being funded in part by an $8.4 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy. Indiana's unemployment rate increased to 4% in July, up 0.2% from the previous month. The Indiana Department of Workforce Development says the number of private sector jobs in the state remained unchanged. It's the fourth consecutive month-over-month increase for Indiana. Hendricks Regional Health has promoted its controller and director of finance to the position of chief financial officer. Andrew Pyle succeeds Stan Risser, who left Hendricks to relocate to Fort Wayne and become associate chief financial officer of Parkview Health. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, 1 goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage.
The bipartisan commission charged with addressing the state's attorney shortage is recommending funding legal practice startups and a regulatory sandbox agency, among other budgetary and legislative suggestions. Mason King has more.
More than half the state's 92 counties are considered legal deserts, defined as less than 1 lawyer per 1,000 residents, according to the American Bar Association. In an interim report released Thursday, Appeals Court Judge Nancy Vadic and Indiana Supreme Court Chief Administrative Officer Justin Faulkner said that puts access to justice at risk for Hoosiers everywhere. The duo, which chaired the Commission on Indiana's Legal Future, called the crisis, quote, a challenge entirely of our profession's own making, end quote. The group set forth 5 priority funding recommendations. At the top of its list was a stipend for legal practice startups for use on expenses like rent, utilities, insurance, case management software, and billing software. The commission said those costs are most burdensome in the startup phase because the attorney is still building clientele. It next suggested funding scholarships for incoming law students who've committed to practicing as public prosecutors or defenders, similar to an existing program for Hoosier teachers. Third, the commission proposed a regulatory sandbox program, allowing innovative legal offerings in a controlled manner outside the bounds of the typical rules governing the legal profession. It would authorize and evaluate non-traditional legal services pilots. The commission must submit a final report on the attorney shortage to the High Court by July 1st, 2025. Mason King, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The University of Notre Dame suspended its men's swimming program Thursday for at least 1 year after an external review found members of the team violated NCAA rules by wagering among themselves on results of their competitions and failed to, quote, treat one another with dignity and respect. According to a person with knowledge of the situation, members of the team had set up a makeshift internal sports book where athletes could wager on the times posted by themselves or teammates at meets. Athletes were not found to have bet on opposing teams or on any other Notre Dame athletic events. The person said a group text chat with members of the team filled with derogatory remarks and messages was also found. No evidence of physical hazing or abuse was uncovered. Officials in Anderson on Thursday marked the opening of a $30 million warehouse and distribution facility for Indianapolis-based seed distributor Corteva Agriscience. It's the company's largest distribution center in North America. Corteva Regional Production Director Ryan White.
Our selection on Anderson really came down to several things. One is, like when you're doing anything in distribution, location, right? Logistics. The facility here is really there to help enable growth of our seed business and our Pioneer brands. is the primary distribution we'll be doing out of this facility. And so with the square footage, the location, the ability to get our carriers in and out, it's really going to set us up well. We've got this season we'll be shipping similar volumes as we had in the past, and we look forward, and it really built the facility for future growth and to enable that.
Work on the 300,000 square foot facility began last year. It will receive and distribute primarily corn and soybean seeds that will eventually end up on Indiana and Ohio farms. It will also add 41 jobs. Indiana Golf Executive Director Mike David is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.